Greetings everyone. Today we're going to explore solving multi-step equations, but today we're going to have distribution and combining like terms. The first thing in our notes is let's jot down some steps. We have already been using these steps so far this year. We're just putting them all together. So again, the first thing we've been working on for quite a while is eliminating parentheses by distribution. We're then going to combine like terms on one or both sides. And as we've been doing for a few weeks now, we're going to undo any addition or subtraction. Remember, this is where we use our inverse operations. So if it says plus 3, we're going to minus 3. And then lastly, we undo any multiplication or division. Excuse my messy writing fast because we've been doing this for a while. So a quick refresher, let's go over what we've been doing for combining like terms. Remember, I like to underline my like terms so that I can include the signs, meaning I have 2x's and I'm subtracting 4x's, so I have negative 2x's. I then have positive 3y, subtract 1y, which is a positive 2y. Make sure you have a addition or subtraction symbol in between every term. Let's also quickly review distribution. When we distribute, we are multiplying the outside value by the inside values. Now you don't have to write this down, but here's what I'm looking at. A negative 5 times a positive 3 and a negative 5 times a negative 2y. So what I would see is you draw the arrow. Negative 5 times times 3 is negative 15. And then we go again. A negative 5 times a negative 2y is a positive 10y. All right, let's take a look at our first example. As I go through each step, I'm going to use a different color, and I'm going to just write a little letter off to the side as a reminder. Now, first and foremost, continue drawing a line down the equal sign. Our first step that we wrote down is distribution. I see that I have a positive 5 in front of my parentheses. A positive 5 times an x is a positive 5x. A positive 5 times a positive 6 is a positive 30. Now if I didn't use it, it falls down. Next step is combining like terms. Look at that right side. It looks like I can combine regular old numbers, a negative 3 and a positive 30. Negative 3 plus 30 is 27. Let's drop down what we didn't use. I didn't use the 37 and I didn't use the plus 5x. Next, undo any addition or subtraction. I see that I have a regular positive 27, so the opposite, or to undo, would be to subtract 27, and we want to do that on both sides. The opposites cancel. I get a nice clean 10 on the left. Let's drop down the equals and drop down the positive 5x. My last step is undo any multiplication or division. Instead of 5 times x, we're going to divide by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2, and I didn't use the x, so it falls down. That is my final solution. X equals 2. We're going to use the same 4 steps. Let's start off with distribution. This time be careful. I'm distributing a negative 4. See how that negative's with the 4? So I'm going to have a negative 4v and a negative 32. Let's drop down the 8v, drop down the equals and the 8. Next step is to combine like terms. I have 8 violins, subtract 4 violins. So I have 4 violins. Let's drop down what we didn't use. Next, we want to undo any addition or subtraction. Instead of a minus 32, let's undo it and add 32. If I'm undoing, it goes on both sides of the line. 8 plus 32 is 40. Let's drop down the 4v, drop down the equals. And my last step, undo any multiplication or division. Instead of times 4, let's divide by 4. I get a nice clean v equals 10. All right, example 3. I'm going to stick to one color for now on. I'm still going to write the letters. The first thing we do is distribute. Negative 8, it's a negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Oops, I forgot my line. A negative 8, positive 7 times positive 7 would be a negative 56 with the n. Let's drop down what we didn't use. I didn't use the negative 8 or the negative 5n out front. Next step, combine. Look at that long left side, that's too long. So I'm going to combine my n's. Negative 5n, negative 56n. If I combine those, you guys, I get a negative 61n. Oh my goodness. Let's drop down what's not underlined. I didn't use the negative 8 here or the negative 8 here. That seems weird, right? But let's keep going through our steps. Undo any addition or subtraction. Instead of subtract 8, let's add 8. Opposites go away. Let's drop down. Wait a second, what's negative 8 plus 8? That's just a 0, and I need some kind of number, right? And 0's okay. That's an easy number. My last step, undo any multiplication or division. So instead of times negative 61, let's divide by negative 61. What's 0 divided by anything? 0. That's my final answer. Example 4. Step 1, let's distribute. We're going to distribute a 5. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times positive 4 is positive 20m. Drop down everything you didn't use. Next step is combine. I see I have 20 markers, subtract 2 markers. So I get 18 markers. Remember, I like to say words with my letters. It just helps. And it was a positive 18. See how I need a symbol there? Next, undo any addition or subtraction. Instead of a positive 5, let's subtract 5. Opposites go away. I've got a negative 18 equals, and the 18m falls down. Undo any multiplication or division. Instead of times 18, let's divide by 18. M equals a negative 1. Let's keep going. First step, distribute. We're going to distribute a positive 3. 3 times x plus 3 times 1. Well, that wasn't too bad. Let's drop down everything else. Combine. I have a 3x, subtract. Technically, that's a 1x. That gets me a 2x. Drop everything else down. Undo any addition or subtraction. Instead of positive 3, let's minus 3. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. And my typical last step, right? Notice how we're almost dividing at the end every single time. Keep that in mind. Maybe use that as a hint. Only divide at the very end, right? That'd be a helpful tip. Only divide at the very end. And that gets us an answer of negative 2. Ooh, the fact that this is a half does not change our process. First step, distribute. A half of 2x is a 1x. A half of positive 4 is positive 2. See how that's not too bad? Let's drop everything else down. Combine. I have 1x plus 1x. Well, if I have 1 xylophone plus 1 xylophone, I have 2 xylophones. The positive 2 falls down, the equals falls down, and the 3 falls down. Undo any addition or subtraction. Instead of add 2, let's minus 2. The 2x falls down and I've got a 1. Last step, multiplication or division. Instead of times 2, let's divide 2. Wait, look at that right side. That's a fraction. It says 1/2. It's going to stay 1/2. 1 does not divide by 2 nicely. Now, if you use your calculator and you write 0.5, I'm okay with that too. It's a nice clean decimal or a nice clean fraction. I know, another fraction, but guess what? It's not too bad. Let's distribute. A negative times a positive is a negative. 1/3 of 12, meaning 12 divided by 3 is -4. Don't forget the x. Negative times positive is negative. 1/3 of 3, or 3 divided by 3, 1. So notice, even though I'm having you distribute a fraction, it works out kind of nice. Let's drop down everything else. Next step, combine. I have -4 xylophones and -3 xylophones. So I have -7 xylophones. The -1 falls down, the -8 falls down. Let's keep going. I'm going to undo by adding 1 to both sides. That -7x drops down. -8 plus 1 is -7. Well, that's looking nice. Instead of times -7, divide by -7. Anything divided by itself is 1. Bear with me. I know there's a lot of examples, but what we really tried to do was throw in all the common errors we see, right? So the negatives, the fractions, the way things are arranged, all right? So like here on this one, a lot of students forget that they're distributing a -3, -3x, -3. Okay, that makes a difference. The 5 falls down, the 4 falls down. Combining. I'm combining regular old numbers. A 5 minus 3 is a 2. Drop everything else down. Undo any addition or subtraction. Again, common mistake. This negative belongs to the 3. This 2 is positive. Opposite of positive is negative. Okay? You almost have to cover up that x value. The -3x falls down, and 4 minus 2, 2. Undo any multiplication or division. Instead of times -3, divide -3. Wait a second. 2 does not divide by 3. It does not reduce. So it's going to remain -2/3. Now on this one, I would not accept a decimal. This decimal is irrational. It's irrational, but it goes forever, right? And I don't want to see any -0.6s with lines. Nope. I don't want to see any -0.6 repeating. Nope. Just leave it. It's easier, right? 2/3. Done. Let's take a look at this one. We're distributing a +2 into parentheses first. A +2x. Distribute again. A +14. Everything else falls down. Let's combine our x's. 1x and 2x is a 3x. Next step, undo any addition or subtraction. Instead of add 14, let's minus 14. 3x falls down. 14 minus 14, it's like it cancels, right? You're going to want to go like this with a slash, but I need something there, so I put a 0. Instead of times 3, we divide 3. 0 divided by anything is 0. You did it. You made it. I know I went quickly through these, so if you need to pause, rewind, catch up, re-listen, please do so. Make sure, as always, you check out Google Classroom to see what the task is, see what your homework is. Let me know if you have any questions, and consider re-listening to this video. Also consider writing this over and over, right? The order of your steps is so important. So DC, add, subtract, multiply, divide. In our next unit, we're actually going to come up with a silly acronym to help us with some of these steps. So keep an eye out for that. And until next time, have a good one.